Hello and welcome, I am the Sterling and today we'll be playing Timberborn. In the last few episodes we've been very busy. We've planted up all our fields full of crop, we've begun pumping a large amount of water and we've got plenty of place to store it. We've begun fermenting both soybeans and cassavas. We've planted up plenty of trees for timber and plenty of berries for breeding. And now we've begun to grow our population, but it's still nowhere near what we need. And so in this episode we're going to take measures to correct this. So sit back, grab a cold one and let's get started. Right, so in this episode, as I said, I want to start building the population. Though I did say that in the last episode as well and didn't really do much about it. Difference is we're now in a position where we actually can grow our population. But not just that, I want to start unlocking a few things. I want to unlock the gear workshop and start producing gears. But to do this, gonna need 100 science. We've only got 45. So don't have enough to do that just yet. I also want to come over here to the scrap metal and unlock the scavenger flag for 250 science so we can start collecting scrap metal. And then I want to unlock the smelter for 300 science so then we can start turning it into iron beams. Once again, we don't have the science to do it. I also want to unlock the wooden stairs so we can start getting to areas such as all these pine trees here where we can actually collect pine resin and other places on the map that up until now have been unreachable. But once again, we're going to need science to unlock it. 70 science. And this is just to name a few things that I want to start unlocking. But if you notice, they all have one thing in common that we just don't have. And that is science. And why? Because as it stands right now, we have nobody in the inventors' huts producing science. In fact, excluding the inventors' huts, we actually have one vacancy in the entire settlement. So we still don't have nearly enough beavers. So my plan for the moment is just to sit back, let the game run on, build up the population, throw some beavers into the inventors' huts, build up some science, and get us into a position where we can actually start building something for this episode. Because right now, I can't do jack. Quite a bit of time has passed. We are now on day 9 of cycle 9. I really let the game run on. I made sure that we built up 1,000 science, which we did, which is fantastic. And a lot has happened. We built up our beaver colony. I had it up to 32 beavers. I've just noticed some have died of old age. Now we are down to 30. I initially had all 6 of these breeding pods running, but then I came to realize that they were producing far too many beavers, and if I let it go, yeah, we would have overpopulated. So I've slowed it down gradually, and now we've just got the one going. But because we're starting to drop our population once again, I'll just turn another one back on. Good news is we still have 3 beavers unemployed. In other words, 3 beavers that we've got to use wherever we need. And that is with everything in our settlement being manned, including all 4 farms. I ended up sticking a couple of extra beavers back in to farm the land just because I was watching them and didn't think they were quite getting enough. Plus, our food was fluctuating. It was sitting on about 400, 450. The moment I put the other 2 beavers in, it shot right up to 610. So I think having the extra beavers is a better idea. And 610 food at this point might be overkill. I don't know, but it seems like a healthier number than 450. We've also had the inventors' shacks going ballistic, hence we have 1,000 science now. And once you actually stick some beavers in here, the science grows quite quickly, considering it is, like I said, day 9 of cycle 9. So I've been sitting here for what feels like a lifetime. We've survived a drought and we've also survived a bad tide. On top of this, I noticed that both of our fermenters and our industrial lumber mill were only running at about 25% power. So I've started putting more of these power wheels in. I'm hoping once we finish this last water wheel, that will then put us closer to 100% on the lumber mill and hopefully somewhere in the 90s for both the fermenters. I've just worked out why we can never seem to be making any soybeans. We also need canola oil. So maybe I might end up having to make an oil press after all. Regardless, I'll move on to that a bit later. I added an extra 4 water barrels because the storage I had for water I didn't think was sufficient. So I just added an extra 4. These pumps seem to somewhat be able to keep up with this amount, though my word, do the beavers drain it quickly, especially during a drought. And speaking of which, I've removed the dams from here due to the fact the dams did seem to stunt the speed and power at which these water wheels actually were producing power. Now it seems to have shut up quite a lot. Either that or I'm just going crazy, which, let's be honest, that's a good possibility too. So what is next for Lumdinium? First of all, I want to start collecting scrap metal from these ruins. And to do this, I need to unlock the scavenger flag for 250 science. I'm going to build 2 of them. Done. Now I'll be able to put put a couple of beavers in there and start producing scrap metal. Now, what am I going to want to use scrap metal for, I hear you ask? I'm going to want to unlock the smelter. But before I go doing that, I'm just having a look at my design. It's going to get really awkward with all these straight power shafts everywhere. They're really in the way. And when I built it, I didn't really think about expansion now, did I? I've also begun wondering if I should actually start filling this area here with power wheels, because this is doing us all right for the moment. But we're going to need a lot more power when we start having smelters and gear workshops coming in. Now, to be able to do this, I'm going to want to get down into this area to build them. Plus, I want to start routing all the power underneath the platforms and up into the bottom of the buildings. That way we can freely move around and there's not power shafts in the way. So before I unlock smelter, I'm actually going to come over here to paths and structures, and I'm going to unlock the wooden stairs for 70 science. And we're going to plot one right here. It will cost 1 log and 4 planks, which we have plenty. We have 206 logs, and we stopped cutting down logs a long time ago because we've filled up storage. And we've also got 193 planks, which, same deal. We stopped producing them a long time ago, and we only top up every time we use them by building heaps of platforms. So let's go and unlock that now. Done. Now, I'm just going to route a path around here like so. And now that I've finally decided I'm going to do this, I'm going to cancel the build of this power wheel. Now, before I go putting in the new power wheels, there's 2 other buildings I actually want to build. One of them I need to unlock. The first one is under district management, and it is the hauling post. I'll be able to put beavers in the hauling posts, and they will be able to carry goods around our settlement, speeding up production, which that's good. That's what we need. I'm going to place it right here. Done. And the next building I want to unlock is the builder's hut. At the moment, we've only got 4 builders running out of the district centre. By placing down a builder's hut, we'll be able to have even more builders, which that will speed up the construction of our buildings, which that's nothing to shy away from. We're going to place it right here. Unlock for 100 science. Done. It will cost 20 logs and 10 planks to build the builder's hut, and 20 logs and 10 planks to build the hauling post. Now that's going to start running us down on beaver population. So we're going to need more beavers once again. So I'm going to come over here and unpause another 2 breeding pods. I'm going to set these 2 buildings to a high priority. That way they're constructed first. And then we can start putting in the power wheels. Now I don't know if setting up the power wheels like this actually diminishes the amount of power that they put out. I don't know. I'm going to learn all these things as we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to build these ones first and move our way back. That way we can actually reach the far wheels, because if we build the ones in front, we won't be able to get to them. I'm just going to use the priority system to set this up, just like so. Now obviously that's not going to be all the power wheels I'm going to make. I'm going to keep filling this area as much as I can. But that there is a lot of resources. Each one of these power wheels takes 25 logs. Now we have 200 logs, so it looks like we got a lot, but trust me, we're going to burn through them very quickly. Now once they build the power wheels, then we'll be right to start building the rest of our production. But all we got to do now is hit play and let them get to work. Fantastic, our water wheels and our scavenger flags are now built. Though I've come across a bit of a problem. This time, for some odd reason, the bad water is actually collected in this area here, which hasn't actually happened before. And it's also collected in this area. I might have to actually build our floodgates here and here, just to keep the bad water out. But that will be a job for the back burner for the moment. What I'll do is I will just crack both of these floodgates and these floodgates down to 0.60. I'll then completely open these floodgates and I'll close this floodgate, stopping the fresh water from escaping. That way we'll push this bad water through this reservoir, straight into this reservoir, and then it can nick off down the bottom. And hopefully it doesn't cause too much problems. Here it comes. Oh, that's a lot of bad water. This may have been a mistake. Though, the trees are recovering once it disappears. Let's see if it kills our farmland. I'm actually a little nervous. I'm hoping this isn't enough bad water that, ooh, crops don't look too good. While I'm at it, should really start these pumps. Nah, crisis averted. The water got diluted and nicked off. Fantastic. No problems. Now I can just come over here and close this floodgate to 0.55. There we go. Everything's right in the world. Before we lose sunlight, let's move on to the next task, which is routing the power from these power wheels over here to where the industrial area is. So first thing we're going to need to do is delete these stairs. Done. Then what we're going to need to do is come over to the power tab, and I'm going to need to build an upright power shaft. One there and one here. And then I'll need to build a downward power shaft, connecting the power wheels to this downward power shaft, just like so. Then I need to build a three-way here and here. Don't really need a three-way there, but figured bugger it. And then we just need to connect the power via power shafts, like so. Then we'll route the power around the corner all the way down here. Now you're sitting there probably going, well, Sterling, I can understand you can build all these power shafts via the land here, but how are you going to build this? Good question. It's going to involve a lot more timber planks, because I'm going to build platforms on top of all these shafts, just like so. Now the beavers will be able to walk on top, and they'll be able to build these downward and upward shafts over here. Though, unfortunately, because I've taken away those stairs, we're no longer going to have wet beavers in our sediment, which wet beavers, as you can see here under wet fur, does actually raise our sediment's well-being. A nice gent in the comments did mention that I need to start making water bridges so the beavers can pass through the water and get nice and wet, rising their well-being. But unfortunately, at the moment, platforms is the way to go. Now, once again, I'm going to hit play and let them route the power. Then we'll be able to delete these power wheels, and then I can start expanding our industrial area. Fantastic. That's now our power wheels and our power lines all connected up. Now, when I deleted these power wheels down here, I also had to delete the industrial lumber mill and the two fermenters. That way, I could actually fit upward power shafts into the bottom of all these buildings. Then I could rebuild the buildings on top. And now there's no more power shafts above. It's all underneath and ready just to route left and right wherever we need it. I've deliberately built a four-way intersection, one here and one here, so then I can just continue building out wherever I need the power. So now we're ready to move on to the next part of the build, which will involve destroying this forester, as it's in the bloody way. Now, the next thing I want to build is underneath the wood tab, the gear workshop. It's going to cost us 100 science to unlock it, and I'm going to want to put it about here. But first, I need to route power to it. So I'm going to want to put an upward power shaft in right here. Then I'm going to put in another four-way intersection. Oh, don't need one. A three-way intersection. Done. And then I can just route the power from the three-way intersection over here to the four-way intersection. I might actually have to build some stairs down so they can build it, but that shouldn't be too much trouble. In fact, I'll tell them to build that first, then that one second. Otherwise, I think they'll get blocked in there. Next, I just need to put a platform here, like so, and then we're ready to build the gear workshop. As I said, it'll cost 100 science to unlock. It'll cost 15 logs and 25 boards. Let's do that now. Done. Next, I'm going to put some temporary stairs in right here, just as I said, so they can get underneath the build if need be. Now, once again, I just want to let everyone know that everything I'm building is just temporary. The sediment isn't going to always look like this. I promise you that. Now, the next thing I'm going to want to build is down here under metal. As now that we're collecting scrap metal, it's time for us to unlock the smelter. It's going to cost 300 science, and then to build it, it's going to be 50 boards, 20 gears, and 30 scrap metal, which I don't think we've even got that. Oh, actually, we do. We've got 40 scrap metal, so I even surprised myself. I haven't set up any storage for scrap metal yet. I need to build a better solution for scrap metal, but for the moment, this will do. So once again, it's a matter of just routing the power. These stairs are in the way, but that's all right, because I want to fit a four-way intersection there anyway. And then once the stairs have been removed, then I can continue building the shaft out. And that shaft there can be our main shaft, as it's right in the middle of the river. I could have done with just a three-way, but I figured just in case, put a four-way in. Then I need to put a three-way here, an upward power shaft here, power shaft in between to connect it all, and then I can just top it off with platforms, like so. And now the power is being routed to the surface, where I can unlock and build our smelter. Unlock for 300 science, done. Now I will need to be careful, as the smelter will hurt our beavers, but my plan plan is to have enough beavers that it doesn't really matter, which at this moment isn't looking all that great. My plans of trying to hit 40 beavers keeps going south. I better unpause these other 2 breeding pods. And then I really just need to keep my eye on it and make sure that I don't overpopulate the settlement. But looking at the food, I don't think we're in any trouble. Though we are down to 560, but that might be because I deleted the fermenters for quite a while there. So that might bounce back. I'll just have to keep my eye on it. Now it's all a bit of a mess at the moment. I've still got to clean up all this scrap rubble that's laying around, but I think we're coming along quite nicely this episode. Now I'll prioritize everything below first. Second priority is the buildings, and then we're right to hit play and let them get to work once again. Right. So now we've built the gear workshop and we've started constructing the smelter. Though we've run out of timber planks, we've only managed to pick up 15. It's not the end of the world because at this point, even if we did build it, we still don't have the beavers to actually man all these things. We just now have to play the waiting game and build up our beavers. But in the meantime, now I want to start thinking more about logistics. Because at the moment, all our storage is in this poxy little area here. The beavers actually have to travel quite far to supply the factories, where I should actually be considering building storage in this area here, so then we can actually have quick little trips to get timber, wood, whatever else we need. Now I'd like to build something, but like I said, no planks. So I guess I'm just going to have to let the clock run, build up our planks. We've got another drought just around the corner, so I'll survive that, and then we'll see how we are in a couple more days. Day 15 of cycle 11. We are now up to 49 beavers. That was actually a bit of an accident. Wasn't really paying attention, looked up and went, oh, that's probably a bit much. And now with a drought just around the corner at 2.6 days, I'm actually a bit worried about the water because even at 30 beavers, the water wasn't really lasting in the barrels. So this will be a true test. I might have to build a couple more of these deep water pumps. I'll play it by ear. In the meantime, I've been having a look at our power demand compared to what we're actually putting out, and we were under. Our demand was 295 horsepower. That's after we have built the smelter, which we actually needed gears also to build it. So I got the gear workshop in full swing and I built up some gears so we could then build the smelter. But as I was saying, our demand is somewhere around the 300 horsepower. The 2 rows of wheels was lacking, so I put a 3rd row in. Quite simple. I just put down a set of stairs and they got stuck into it. Now we're putting out 480 horsepower. Though it was on and off. The water current wasn't enough to keep the wheels spinning at all times. So I've dropped this floodgate down to 0.50. It was at 0.55. And as you can see, it has solved the issue. We have no problems now. Plenty of power coming in. Oh, the demand's gone up. Demand's gone up heaps. Okay, might need to put another row in. Look at that. It makes me a liar. But nonetheless, now we've got plenty of resources we can build the next phase. But we don't have enough barracks now, as we are over 40 beavers. We've only got 4 barracks. Each barracks holds 10 beavers. Now, I'm not a big fan of the way I've just got them sitting around here, so we're going to move them. We're going to put them in here, just out of the way. And I want to tuck them in nice and neat. I want to start building up. Now, once again, this isn't the mega towers. We're not starting that just yet. I'm going to need dynamite before I can even do that. This is just a temporary place for them to live. And I think this nice little apartment complex I've designed here will do quite nicely. It will comfortably be able to house 80 beavers. So that should keep us out of trouble for quite a while. Next thing we need to plan out is the storage as promised. So I'll lay down a big bunch of platforms, something like that. Won't necessarily be that big. I can delete what I don't need. Now I just add in all the storage. Something like that. We have 6 large industrial piles. One will house logs. This one will house planks. This one will house gears. This one will house scrap metal. And this one will house metal beams. This one will be empty for the moment, just until we get our next resource. And as for this side, we've got 2 medium warehouses. This bottom one will house cassavas and the top one will house soybeans, ready to be fermented at the fermenters, and then from there they'll be transported into town ready to be eaten, because all our food ready to be eaten will still be over in this area, or I might go so far as to move it over here. But for the moment I will be leaving it just where it is. I'm also contemplating leaving the large industrial piles that are already over here that house planks and logs, just because I fill them up very quickly. Doesn't hurt to have them in 2 different places. I've given them lots to do, so let's hit play and let them get to work. Day 10, cycle 14. And my word, was that a long time. Now, you're probably wondering why I went so crazy with the water. I built 4 new deep water pumps and small tanks all over the place. Some over here at the living quarters and a couple over here at the industry. The reason I did this is we had a drought at one point and all these barrels over here became empty. So I had to turn the pumps back on, which drained all the water in this reservoir and then all the water in this reservoir. And it got down to the last few hours of the drought and all our beavers were thirsty. I started watching the news down here in the left-hand corner, waiting to see the mass extinction of our beavers dying of thirst. We were very, very lucky that they didn't die. So to combat this, in fear, I went a little bit nuts. Thus, lots of deep water pumps and lots of water barrels all over the place. Now, I don't know whose idea it was to start building in the river. The reason why it's so time consuming is the amount of planks it takes to build all these platforms is ridiculous. I've got 11 left. We've been building for years just for planks. Now I've turned off the scavenger flags and we're no longer collecting scrap metal because we have 104 scrap metal. I didn't see the need for scrap metal at the moment. We're not actually using it for anything just yet, so I figured we need the beavers elsewhere. Now at first glance, you can probably tell I've done quite a bit of work with the storage. For instance, over here at the apartment building, I've put 3 medium warehouses. The bottom 2 house kohlrabis, and the top medium warehouse houses fermented cassavas. Then over here at the industry, we have 2 medium warehouses housing cassavas, ready to be fermented over here at the fermenters. Now you're probably sitting there going, well, hang on, where are you storing the soybeans? Well, we're still storing them over here at the original location, but we're no longer producing them. I no longer saw the need to be producing soybeans as we're not producing oil, so we can't actually do anything with it. So both of these fermenters are now doing fermented cassavas. And so I've ripped up all the farmland of soybeans and replanted it as cassavas and kohlrabi. All things we can eat now. Now this storage over here on the other side of the industry is made up of 2 large industrial piles here to house wood, a large industrial pile to house planks. Then I came to learn that gears can't be stored in industrial piles. They need to be stored in medium warehouses, hence medium warehouse. Then this large industrial pile has scrap metal. Finally, this large industrial pile has metal blocks. And then over here, we have 3 medium warehouses storing all our berries ready to be used in our breeding pods. We now have 49 beavers, which is crazy numbers. They do fluctuate a lot. The lifespan of our beavers is very, very small, though not due to lack of water, purely because of their well-being being so low. Though still, I do believe that we need to start thinking of better ways to store water. The main reason I went crazy like this is because we don't have dynamite. If I had dynamite or some means to actually expand our reservoirs and our dams and make them be able to house even more water, I wouldn't need to go to this extent because we'd be able to just store water in our dam, slowly let it trickle into our main reservoir where we'd then pump it into the barrels for our beavers to drink. But due to the fact that I have to actually turn the pumps off during a bad tide or a drought, I need to be able to store as much water as I possibly can to make sure that it can actually outlast the 7-day drought. The big problem with a drought though is during the drought we lose production because we lose power in the power wheels. And so moving forwards, I do actually need to find a better way to produce power, whether it be using an engine or batteries or even using bad water, which actually in the future this area here is going to be where I produce my power. Though I'm going to need 4,000 science to be able to do it, as I need to be able to build the bad water discharge, to which I'd put on top of the bad water source, making it that the bad water source actually produces water year round. And by doing this, I'd be able to put power wheels in this area here and produce power year round. Though, as I said, it's 4,000 science, 300 gears, 200 iron, and 50 dynamite to be able to make bad water discharge. We are so far off that it's not funny. As for food, we're sitting very comfortable. We fluctuate anywhere between 900 and 1.2k worth of food. Majority of it is berries though, at 639. The rest is made up of 501 kohlrabi and 98 fermented cassavas. Though we're actually pulling quite a lot of cassavas off the ground. At the moment, we've stored 533. So we've got plenty sitting there ready to be fermented. Our timber never fluctuates. It's always maxed out, which is fantastic. This little forest that we've produced is doing the job perfectly. So up and up, I think we're in a better position right now than we were at the start of the episode. But for how long is the question, as the droughts are getting longer and longer and our population is getting bigger and bigger. But our next step moving forwards is raising our well-being. At the moment, our well-being is 6. We need that to be significantly north. That way the beavers produce food and water faster. They'll carry goods around the settlement faster. They'll just genuinely do everything better and faster. And so that's what we want. Plus, it'll give them a longer lifespan. So then I won't have to worry so much about producing more and more beavers. Unfortunately, though, this will all have to wait for another episode, as this is all the time we have for today. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.